Greetings. This is General CJG here, coming to you with the continuation to our Disney Star Wars Contradictions small two-part video where, last time we did basically everything in the Disney Star Wars timeline except for one specific era which we're tackling right now in this video, which is the Sequel Trilogy era and its tie-in media. Yep, this is gonna be the Disney one, so yeah. So, and with me here are, same two previous guys that came with me last time, starting with...
Yes, it is I, the always fantastic and extravagant Captain Henson.
Yep, and...
And this is the Spider-Man Maniac.
Yep, indeed. So, with that out of the way, let's get on with the Sequel Trilogy era. So, what do you guys got in terms of contradictions? Got some in mind?
Did you list in here Chewie getting the medal in 9?
Oh, no, I actually didn't.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I think I remember something about that. It says, like, in a Disney Star Wars comic, it says that the reason why Chewbacca didn't get a medal is because of something related to his Wookiee honor. But in episode 9, Maz Kanata just gives him the medal.
Well, no, here's the thing. Well, there is that, but there's also the fact he gets a medal in, I think it's the mainline Star Wars comic. But the real issue, and this is something my friend Donnie wanted me to bring up here, it's not necessarily a contradiction because we don't know any of the details about any of that. But the thing is, it just goes to show that the only reason why that scene is in the movie is just so... That's just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the quote-unquote fans, because one of the biggest talking points of Episode 4 is, oh, Chewie didn't get a medal, so let's have him get a medal in 9. Even though he got the medal in a comic, so we...
CGG, you remember the topic we discussed in the episode 9 podcast, right? Where we talk about this movie, Rise of Skywalker, canonizing memes.
Oh, yes, I remember.
This is one of those examples.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, because the thing is, there is no reason for him to get the medal here outside of what you can only describe as fan service. Because again, not only do you have him getting the medal in one of the comics, but there's also the fact that, again, it's one of those little details that we really didn't need a follow-up with. We didn't need to see him getting a medal. It's only there just for the quote-unquote fan service, as I said. It's one of those things that just takes you out of the experience because you know exactly why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not organic at all.
Yep. Let that be a precursor to the other things that you might call
And
for fan service.
I don't know if you have this point in here, but also something my friend Donnie helped me with is Leia training with a lightsaber contradicts what we had learned about
I do
her
have it.
training.
Yes.
Before, it was she just did some meditative training and then quit to focus on, her political career. But then we find out that no, she actually had a lot of training, and not just meditative stuff, but also in combat. So,
So
yeah.
Okay, so that one, it was confirmed by both the Last Jedi Visual Dictionary and Rian Johnson that she never trained under Luke Skywalker in between 4 ABY and 34 ABY. But the Rise of Skywalker completely retconned this by, of course, showing the flashback scene.
Yeah, I mean, we should use the term retcon very loosely, because it's not an actual retcon. It's more like ignoring / contradiction.
Oh, this is a retcon. It just doesn't have an in-universe explanation for it.
I mean, we gotta differentiate between Disney Star Wars' retcon and the expanded universe's retcon. Now, the Disney Star Wars' definition of retcon is basically ignoring what happened before, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Expanded universe's retcon is find some way to fit this thing in the continuity without ignoring what happened.
Besides a few select examples, of course.
Oh yeah, but those are for another time.
But
Yeah.
the point is, and I'm sure we could have brought this up in the last video, but well, the thing is, when it comes to the Disney canon, it's not so much. Well, the thing that really sucks about the Disney canon and the sequel trilogy is, in my opinion, the biggest perpetrator of this is that we were sold on this idea that everything was on the same level of canonicity, that everything mattered. But we find out that no, that is not the case at all, that in fact they don't care. The biggest problem and the part that really pisses me off is yes, did the EU have contradictions, retcons that didn't make sense, or just bits of bad continuity? Yes, it did. But there was an effort by all parties involved to make sure that, for the most part, everything fit, that continuity was maintained. We were sold on the idea, in regards to the new canon, that everything was connected. And again, sequel error is a prime example, where they just don't care. And of course, none of this would be as big of an issue if they didn't sell us on that fucking lie. But they did, and here we are.
I mean, at first, in the very first days, at least before The Lost Jedi, okay, not The Lost Jedi, but Battlefront 2, 2017 EA, proved or at least showed that they were trying to fit materials so that they exist in the same universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those Emperor's Red Droid and Operation Shadow Hand, and various sources were indeed mentioned in Battlefront 2 EA. So I thought there was a genuine effort. And I was thinking, wow, these guys are actually trying to make something good within the continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I've noticed is that when it comes to the new canon, you very much have to look at it as multiple different continuities within a general canon. Like if you read like books all done by like one author, you can tell that there is, continuity between those works. And sometimes that may extend to, other works as well, but for the most part, it is very much made up of multiple continuities in one general canon. But we've went on this long enough. Let's just get through this shit.
Yeah, so don't worry, we'll got plenty more to discuss that at the end. For now, let's just get into the contradictions themselves. Okay, so you guys got any more contradictions listed, or shall I go with mine?
Go on.
Okay, let's go with a simple one that Henson knows about and even has talked about in a previous video. So, basically, Cobb Vanth, the armor he got from Boba Fett, retconned by the Mandalorian Son 2. So, Henson, do you want to elaborate on that one?
Okay, so instead of going into detail on this, because it would just take too long, I would just recommend watching Star Wars Explains video on it, because he does a good job with really going through the contradictions, and he also does something that really pisses me off and is completely okay with the contradiction. You see, the thing that really pisses me off is you go through the effort of getting this character from these books, one of which was one of the earliest new canon stories, but you treat it as though you were just taking inspiration. It's very much how TCW treated the EU. Oh, it's just a pool of inspiration and nothing else, not a hard canon to, you have to deal with. So in here, it's just them taking inspiration from a new canon book. If you know the story of Cobb Vanth, this doesn't work. Dealing with a Tusken Raider tribe and, making a peace, all that shit. And hell, how he even got the armor, which, of course, in and of itself could be explained away by it's just how he's telling the story. But with how he's portrayed in Aftermath compared to how he's portrayed here in Mando, it just does not fit. And this was one of the first signs there. It became clear that Filoni hasn't changed. Even when he has a canon built around his own fucking product, he doesn't care. So, and then of course, this just goes on a whole other thing of the fans not giving two shits of a damn because they're morons.
Okay, so there's that. Anything to mention on Cobb Vanth in regards to how it's different between the two sources?
No.
Okay. Then we go to the next one. Another simpler one, but yet still kind of eye-puzzling. So, according to the Before the Awakening book, which, it depicts Rey, Finn, and Poe like moments before The Force Awakens. So, apparently Finn was supposed to be this Master Chief-inspired soldier character, or at least a competent First Order Stormtrooper. But in the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens, he's reduced to a coward soldier that is nowhere near as badass as Chief or even somebody like Boba Fett or whatever. Like going from a competent badass soldier to a coward. So
the Force Awakens' opening scene for Jakku isn't his first battle?
apparently,
No, he's been in several training simulations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say it here where it's been a while since I've read the book, but in the book it's made clear that Finn is like a badass. Like I don't remember if he's like top of his squad, but he's certainly up there. He's very skilled, even catches Phasma's eye. But in the simulations, he doesn't if it's just like combat, he's an ace, but when it comes to civilians, that's when things get iffy. But the issue here is in this book, we're shown that he's like really fucking competent. But in TFA, and then of course, moving forward, we don't really get that.
Which is interesting. This book, didn't it came out the same day as The Force Awakens, I believe?
It came out like, I want to say a few days after.
You think they, similar to how George did it with, say, with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, like you think they, like how George communicated with the authors to tell them, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing in my movie, so you can make your stories around this so that they can fit. But instead, we don't get that. Even as far back as Force Awakens, we didn't get that, which is interesting.
I mean, there was a certain rule behind it, such as, okay, I'm gonna make a movie about this, so do not do anything about this character. Or, hey, here's some cool scenes in my movie. I mean, it would be cool if you also reference it in your novels or comics, so,
Okay,
people the movie.
I just looked. They were released on the same day, December
On the
18th.
on the same day. Yeah, that's just great, isn't it, right? That's just great.
I mean, I would say the only reason the book was made was to fill in stuff that wasn't said in the movie.
Yeah.
Because in the book, we also hear that Rey's flown some flight simulators, but anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah, this is one of those cases where completely different characterizations don't fit together.
Yep. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. Certain rules about not being able to go into hyperspace around the gravity well of a massive object, they get ignored. AKA, Force Awakens Millennium Falcon being able to hyperspace at any location, including a planet's atmosphere, as we saw with Starkiller Base. Oh, and of course, hyperspace skipping in The Rise of Skywalker for both the Falcon and the TIE Fighters. So, what do you guys got to say on that one?
If you watch the original trilogy, many times before they do the hyperspace jump, I hear Han Solo telling someone to calculate something before doing the thing, but I don't see Han Solo saying anyone to calculate anything before jumping to Starkiller Base, which seems stupid, or maybe it's old and got dumber.
There's that, but let's also not forget that if this was a thing, it could have been used for Episode 6, to traverse Endor without even being detected.
Yeah, what's the point of stealing the Imperial shuttle? That's a waste of time, isn't it?
Apparently. So, yep. I mean, they could have just used the Falcon and just go right there, but oh well. Or any ship, actually. So, but there's that.
Yeah, this especially doesn't make sense because it's 30 years after Return of the Jedi, and there are more advanced technology in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but then again, the Falcon is not really too advanced. It's almost still the same ship. So,
Yeah, according to what I read, the Falcon even predates the Phantom Menace. The YT-1300. These things predate the Phantom Menace. So how do you do that?
you got something for that, Henson?
I got nothing else to add here.
Then it's just stupid. I'm building off on hyperspace stupidity. So, wait, in The Rise of Skywalker, Ben Solo somehow got to Exegol by stealing a TIE fighter from the wreckage of the Death Star. Wait, those TIE fighters have no hyperdrives. How did it get there?
These things don't even have shields.
That too. So, how did he get there?
You got any explanation for that, Henson?
You see, this is one of those things where the films don't really make a point to say that, oh yeah, space travel like does actually take a while. So this is, I would chalk this up to they forgot how time actually works.
And especially, these TIE fighters are not even from the First Order. That TIE fighter Kylo Ren was flying was from the Imperial era.
Yeah, the Death Star.
How this thing even functions at this point is a mystery of its own, but how it even reached Exegol without running out its fuel is another question.
Hell, Episode 4 said that TIE fighters cannot really traverse long distance by themselves. There needs to be at least a big cruiser ship or a base nearby. Remember? When Han and Obi-Wan say...
He's followed us! No, it's a short-range fighter.
Are there any bases around here? Where did it come from?
A fighter that size couldn't get this deep into space on its own.
Oh, yeah.
So, that is a contradiction. So,
Yeah, you see, this is what happens when you get people who don't actually care about the, I'm going to say science in quotes, but I'll say in-universe science. Because again, space travel does take a while. I mean, yeah, the films kind of make it seem like it only takes like a few hours at most. This is one of those things where it's actually have to do, some bit of research. Because you don't want to wind up creating a story that involves a TIE fighter being able to travel to, the edge of the galaxy? This is just dumb.
It was done for plot purposes.
Pretty much.
So, there's that. So yeah, anything else to mention on that one?
What's next?
So next, the First Order in The Force Awakens is, so according to behind the scenes and even several sources like the Visual Dictionary, The Force Awakens, there's supposed to be a small to medium-sized military faction, nowhere near the size of the Galactic Empire. And the Visual Dictionary reinforced that by saying that even their navy was very small to rival the Empire's navy. But The Last Jedi decided to, out of nowhere, give the First Order a huge dreadnought ship the size of the Super Star Destroyer, plus an extra 13 regular Star Destroyers. So...
Yeah, and they're supposed to be a fringe group, right?
Yeah.
How the hell did they build this Death Star 3.0 thing? Starkiller Base.
Yeah, but even if we buy the argument that somehow they made Starkiller Base and the 4 Star Destroyers we see in The Force Awakens and that Snoke's ship existed, that still doesn't explain where were the other 13 Star Destroyers and the huge Dreadnought ship. Those could have been really useful in the fight in Starkiller Base, you think?
Some people might make an argument saying, oh, the Imperial Warlords and the Revenants also had super weapons and all that stuff in the EU. Now, the explanation I have is, most of those weapons, superstar destroyers and all, were already in the positions of these admirals, and the super weapons were already built before the fall of the Empire. So I could believe that these things did actually exist. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'll say this. If The Force Awakens had not established that the First Order's navy and military wasn't that small, it could have been something that could have been easily explained, even if The Last Jedi happened like minutes after Force Awakens ended, but because Force Awakens said, no, the First Order is actually a fringe group, small to medium-sized, then they shouldn't have more than what we see in the movie, but there you go.
A fringe group that managed to make a Death Star.
Yeah.
No, not even a Death Star. Like, this thing can destroy how many planets at once?
Like half the solar system or a fourth of it?
Yeah, it destroyed an entire system with one blast. Yeah, how did a French group make this?
Well, that's a question for another day, as Moss would say.
Where did the resources come from? Who fund these morons?
Oh, we'll get into the origins of the First Order soon. Don't you worry about
Okay.
that one. So, yeah. So, Henson, got something to say on the First Order's military size?
Just that in Force Awakens, it played off as though Starkiller Base was like their, like they poured everything into that thing, and then of course when it's destroyed, it's like a huge loss.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to Last Jedi, and if I remember correctly, it's not even mentioned in the movie, as though them losing that thing meant nothing.
It meant nothing.
Which is completely fucking ludicrous.
Here's the thing in Rise of Skywalker, where Legion General Pride talks like the destruction of the Starkiller Base was a massive loss to the First Order. You remember that scene? Despite the fact that the Last Jedi had, prior to that scene in the Rise of Skywalker, the First Order is the strongest faction. Like, what is this?
Oh,
Like, are you saying the loss of the Starkiller Base was a massive pain for the First Order or not?
And don't forget, at the end of The Last Jedi, the Resistance was pretty much almost done for. They barely escaped with just like 10-15 people aboard the Millennium Falcon. First Order was dominating the galaxy by that point. But even with that, apparently even with that, somehow the lost Starkiller Base apparently meant so much in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, really? Because it didn't seem too much. In The Last Jedi, they're already winning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this thing doesn't make any sense. Let's move to the next one before we rant for 24 hours.
Oh, well, guess what? We're kind of continuing that because following the military-size discrepancies between movies, The Force Awakens also established that the Resistance's fleet was just a squad of X-Wings, 20 to 30, around there. No cruisers on site in the entire movie, and according to the Force Awakens Visual Dictionary, the Resistance has little in the way of capital ships. Since Republic demilitarization efforts have made them difficult to obtain. As such, the fighters have to do the bulk of the work to defend worlds targeted by the First Order for expansion and colonization. However, the Last Jedi decided to not only bring 3 cruisers, but also add more types of starfighters of different kinds, including the A-Wings and the Resistance bombers. How did this happen in a matter of hours? You know, this could have been used in The Force Awakens. How did that happen? Like, think about it. Those bombers, for as shitty as they are in The Last Jedi, maybe their bombs could have been used to pretty much make a huge hole or destroy the thermal oscillator from the Starkiller Base, instead of having Poe Dameron to pretty much fly inside the small bridge that was caused by Han Solo's bombs and destroying the oscillator from inside. Like, detonating those bombs from, like, up in the sky would have been better than having Poe risk his life? Like, don't you guys think?
Well, nothing else really to add here. That's
Strategy
yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
for nerds.
Yeah. Indeed. So, yeah. Anything else on this one?
No.
Okay. Then, well, I guess the Resistance for some reason decided to ditch the Y-Wings to have those Resistance bombers in The Last Jedi. Okay.
I mean, this isn't really a contradiction. This is more so just
A small note.
questionable decision.
It is. Though it makes you wonder, why did the Y-Wings now appear suddenly in The Rise of Skywalker? I guess they found some in that 1 year gap.
I mean, here's the thing, though. This is something where it can be explained. Of course, it's not going to be the best explanation, but there is a way to explain it.
Mm-hmm. There is.
Of course, this is just a whole thing of the bombers were a really stupid idea, both in universe and out, and that's all I really have to say about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's that. Now here's another one that definitely is more of a contradiction. So in The Force Awakens, if you guys remember, when Han Solo and Chewie were talking with Rey and Finn in the Falcon, they see the map. Han Solo claimed that Luke Skywalker went to Ahch-To searching for either more knowledge from the Jedi Temple or recruiting new students for his academy, right? But then Luke Skywalker said in The Last Jedi that he went to Ahch-To specifically to die.
I mean, this isn't a contradiction. This is more so, as far as we know, immediately after the Ben left and burned the temple, Luke buggered off to Octo. Now, who made the map?
That's still a question.
Of course, the thing is, we don't know specifically if Luke made the map. As far as we know, the map could have just been made like hundreds upon thousands of years ago.
Well,
And the point I'm trying to make here is Han and Leia can think realistically that, oh, Luke went to this supposed first temple in order to learn stuff, while the real reason is he went there to die. So it's not a contradiction. It's more so just characters thinking differently based on what they know.
wait, wouldn't Leia sense that Luke caught himself off from the Force? Wouldn't that kind of make her worried?
One would think, unless you can like reach out for someone and they can just, I don't know. Probably, but I don't know how the Force works. So
In these movies. Dolan got something to say?
I mean, Luke left. Who knew that he was gonna go to this place in the first place? Like, how did they acquire this information that Luke went to the first Jedi temple? Because according to what I see in The Last Jedi, it seems like Luke didn't want anyone to find him, but somehow some people knew he went to this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well,
did
it's not
somebody
that they
follow him?
know he went to a specific place. They didn't know where that was. But in terms of how they, okay, yeah, I see your point. Yeah, it's one of those things where there is a way to explain it, but they just haven't done so, and I doubt at this point they will anytime soon.
Hmm. Yeah.
And R2D2 suddenly waking up.
Oh.
Like, is R2D2 force sensitive?
Oh yeah, I forgot to write that one. Yeah, apparently R2D2 is somehow waking up at the end of Force Awakens. Yeah, is there any explanation for that one? Because I don't have one, and the visual dictionary does not have one.
That's just
stupid.
one of those things where it's good for the plot.
I guess there's that. Okay, so moving on from that. So next, okay, this one is from the Last Jedi novelization. Those people that follow State of Star Wars probably know this one. So apparently in the Last Jedi novelization, most of the Resistance do not know who Han Solo is. Like, they don't know who he is, so that's why they don't care about Han's funeral, not even attend it, like only a few people. Despite the book Bloodline saying that Han had been with Leia for the last 6 years before the events of The Force Awakens, and Han even trained many people on the New Republic to fly spaceships, and the fact that the entire Resistance is composed of people that left the New Republic to support Leia. So, got something to say on that one?
Yes, this is something that doesn't really make sense when you watch The Force Awakens also and read these books. It's like Rey somehow thinks Luke Skywalker is a myth or a legend, despite the fact that this is the guy who destroyed Darth Vader, historically, quote-unquote killed Vader, and Palpatine, and she thinks he's somehow a legend, and they don't even know who Han Solo is, despite the fact he was a very important rebellion general, which was in the last battle. No, not the last. Yeah, it is the last battle, because the Rise of Skywalker says the war ended in Endor instead of Jakku. You moron!
We're gonna get to that, Dolan. Oh, we'll get to that. Don't you worry. We'll get to that one later. So yeah, what do you think of this discrepancy, Hanson?
Well, doesn't make any sense. I mean, the easy explanation could have been they didn't have time to mourn because they had to get out of there. Again, easy way to explain it, and
they didn't. The only people that attended the funeral were Leia, Akbar, and I guess Rey and Poe and Finn maybe, but everyone else is like just not caring.
Aren't there any history books within the universe of Star Wars?
I mean,
don't they teach this stuff in school?
I mean, there should be, because the Mandalorian had a school teaching kids about the history, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
So I guess they exist, but I think they lost all their info, Han Solo. So there's that.
That's convenient.
Yeah. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. Oh, this is an easy contradiction. So, Phasma silver armor. It's able to deflect blaster shots in The Last Jedi, but somehow Finn and Han Solo hold her at gun range in The Force Awakens and force her to deactivate Starkiller-based shields.
I don't really know. I could kind of give a reason because Finn was pointing a blaster rifle in close range and Rose was firing a pistol, so you could kind of make an argument, but I don't know.
No, Phasma has deflected stronger blaster rifles, not only in The Last Jedi, but even in her comic, actually. So there's
Oh,
that.
in close range?
No, even from far away in the comic. So there's that. But here's the thing: when Finn and Han Solo hold her at gun range, they're not holding it right up close. Like when she's deactivating the shields, like they're like a meter or two away from her, so her armor can easily deflect that shit.
Here's the thing, though. Yeah, she could probably take on Finn and Han easily, but
Chewie.
there's also a Wookiee there, so even though, yeah, the blasters wouldn't have had an effect, even if she didn't do as they said, she would still have to deal with a Wookiee, so...
Well, the Phasma comic makes it claim that Phasma's more intelligent than we see in the movies, so that was the case.
Well, here's the thing also about Phasma is she is a coward.
Well, that too.
Very much like Grievous in that regard, in that, cool design coward was made to be a lot cooler than they actually turned out to be in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, only difference is Grievous actually has cool appearances. Phasma only has a cool concept. Because, if they had just said from day one, Phasma's a coward, well, we wouldn't be in this situation. Like, in actuality, she doesn't actually care about the First Order. She just cares about being on the winning side. Or what she thinks is the winning side.
Yeah.
But
the characterization of Phasma is like, well, that she does whatever she can to survive. So at the end, it doesn't really matter as long as she's the one who's surviving. She will kill anyone or anything that will get in her path. That's the description of her character, isn't it?
Supposedly.
Yep.
So, I guess there's that, but of course the movies never mention that.
Yeah, this is the problem. If that's a characteristic of Phasma, it should have been in the movie. Do not make us buy your stupid book to understand why these characters act these ways.
And of course, what's really... The thing that really doesn't make any sense is we had a deleted scene in Last Jedi where Finn points this out, and we actually get to know more of Phasma's character. But then, of course, like all the other deleted scenes, it was a scene that actually, was worthwhile and necessary, and then, of course, delete it.
Yeah, that deleted scene was quite good because, well, the story is basically like this. Phasma calls Finn a traitor, and then Finn is like, hey, bitch, you're the one who shut down the shield to the Starkiller base. Why are you calling me a traitor? And Phasma is like looking at Stormtroopers and is like, you wouldn't believe what he's saying, right? And the Stormtroopers are like, is what he's saying true? And Phasma kills the Stormtroopers because she doesn't want them to know the truth about what happened.
Well,
yeah,
that scene should have been in the movie, along with the scene of Luke mourning Han, but, well.
And also the third lesson.
That too, but...
Point is, this isn't a contradiction, this is more so an issue with the films didn't do a good job at telling and even showing us her character, because, again, if we knew that she was a coward, then it would have we wouldn't have this problem.
I think it was more like, oh, here's this famous woman from Game of Thrones. Let's cast her to play one of those characters in Star Wars. That's the whole process they're thinking.
Except that we don't even get to see her face or anything. So, for all we know, those that don't really know her, they pretty much wouldn't know that it's the woman from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, there's that. So, yeah. There's that on Phasma. So, final things to mention on that?
No.
Okay, next. Now, this is a good contradiction. This is a real one. You'll love this one. Force Ghosts now apparently have real power that allows them to alter the living world as seen in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. You know what I'm talking about. When Yoda decides to pretty much bring a lightning storm to strike at the tree in Noctu in The Last Jedi, and then of course in Rise of Skywalker, Luke suddenly not only catches the lightsaber when Rey throws it, manages to catch it, and also lift the X-Wing with the Force. So, what happened to...
If you choose to face Vader, you will do it alone. I cannot interfere.
What happened to that, Obi-Wan? Were you lying? You lazy fuck?
If I had to guess, and I don't know if this is the explanation, but because Octo is so strong, or has like the Force has a strong presence there, I suppose that would be the explanation as to why they can interact. But they don't. I don't know if that's the explanation because I haven't done too much research on it. But if I had to guess, that would be the explanation.
That's the explanation. It's
maybe.
Well, here's the thing, Henson. If that was the explanation, the Force Ghosts could have really helped at the Battle of Endor. We saw them appear there at the end, so that planet must be pretty rich in the Force.
Well, no, what I'm saying is they can show up anywhere, but in terms of interacting in the way that we see Yoda do in Episode 8, would require a Dagobah-esque planet that is just so enriched with the Force that they can do more than just appear.
Yeah. What about Exegol? Is there some kind of a dark side, light side thingy going around? Like, this stuff is really confusing.
Oh,
like, what are the rules?
issue here is, again, we don't have a proper there would be an easy way to explain all this, but we don't have that explanation as far as I'm aware.
Wait, didn't the Nexago, well, according to Rey, didn't Force Ghosts give her the Force or something to pretty much beat Palpatine? And we even heard
given the fact that she heard the voices of characters who wouldn't be Force Ghosts, I suppose, there you go.
Well, then, yeah, this Force Ghost should have never had any real power to do anything in the living world, at all. But
nope.
But there you go.
It's kind of weird because if you watch the Mortis arc, you see Qui-Gon Jinn looking like a blue hologram in Mortis, but if you just see the other episodes, he just appears as a boy. So you could possibly make an argument that if a planet is strong with the Force, he could physically show himself to other people, but that's just a theory. That's nothing proven yet, according to what I know.
No, not even the visual dictionary say that. Not even that. So, this is literally just nothing but speculation. So, there is that.
And we don't deal with fan fiction.
So, there's that. Anyway, so anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. Ooh. Okay, going a bit back on hyperspace bullshit. Our favorite. The hyperspace ram. Or the hold maneuver, as you like to call it, because that's what the Rise Skywalker called it. Oh boy. So, Doan, do you want to explain what's wrong with this one?
Yeah, what was that? So, according to what I know in Star Wars, you're not allowed to just jump between systems just because you want to. I think there's a safe lock system in a ship that prevents you to jump like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, it's especially really nonsensical if you listen to what Poe says, like the holder maneuver is 1 in a million. What was that?
Yeah, he said.
In Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah.
1 in a million. So, yeah. So, Holdo decides to scold Finn and Rose for trying to do their plan, but she decided to do a maneuver that was a 1 in a million. How the hell is that thing a 1 in a million when you want in close range? But did the system somehow malfunction conveniently, preventing it just allowing the ship in hyperspace in short distance? Like, how does these things work? I mean, I'm not expecting H.G. Wells type of science and technology here. Give a proper explanation.
Also, may I tell you that, wait, 1 in a million? You did the same maneuver at the end of Rise Skywalker. What are you talking about in regards to 1 in a million? That thing could pretty much be done whatever time they want.
1 in a million. 1 in a million. Yeah, what do you think, Henson? 1 in a million.
Well, to quote General, lol.
Lol indeed.
This is a military strike. This is a war, not a goddamn chessboard. You don't pull this stuff here.
And of course, this begs the question of why hasn't this maneuver been done in previous space battles, like for example the Death Star battles in episodes 4 and 6. But there you go. Thank you for devaluing the space battles from previous Star Wars movies.
In fact, did she really need to use the hyperspace? Isn't ship hitting each other enough? I mean, look, a normal alien up to crash through the Star Destroyer in Return of the Jedi, right?
Uh-huh.
And destroy the entire ship.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that.
Yeah.
Was hyperspace necessary? Yeah, I haven't even asked that question. Was hyperspace necessary at that point? Or look at Rogue One, where 2 Star Destroyers somehow collide with each other and destroy each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but...
And these are idiots!
Yep, but apparently all along, we should have just had a ship, hyperspace, all the way through whatever fleet or a huge space station, and that would have done the job. Would have saved so many lives.
You know what would be better? Just send a escape pod towards the Star Destroyer. That would be more efficient. Holdo didn't even need to die, if you think about it.
No, she didn't. She could have had a droid or an autopilot from far away, but nope. This maneuver is so freaking stupid and lore-breaking. You could have had the argument of 1 in a million, or that it could have wrecked Galaxy done many times, but because Rise of Skywalker did it again, yeah, it's fucked. There's no way to fix it. So, yep. So yeah, that's the hyperspace RAM. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay.
What's
one.
next?
Oh, one of your favorites, the one, the Mustafar. You know, it went from lava to having snow and trees in Rise of Skywalker.
Even Rogue One didn't do this.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though. So, in Rogue One, we do see that Mustafar does look different
Slightly.
than how it did in Episode 3, and in the Vader VR game, it is explained why Mustafar winds up looking the way it does. I don't remember the explanation, but essentially, whatever happens at the end of the VR game brings about life, or brings life back to Mustafar. So, like in Rogue One, the reason why it's less volcanic is because life is, I don't know if I should say returning to the planet, but life is growing on the planet, so it's becoming less and less volcanic. So by the time we get to Episode 9, that's why we see nature. Now, getting that explanation in the movie certainly would have been nice.
Or the visual dictionary, because it's not even in the visual dictionary.
Yeah, this is one of those things where if you're not familiar with what's going on in the canon, you're gonna be lost.
Or was it intentionally? Was it supposed to be Mustafar, or did they just somehow retcon this planet to be Mustafar?
No, it's Mustafar from the beginning.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams intentionally make this planet Mustafar from the beginning?
Yes.
Huh.
Which, of course, it would have been easy if he just made another planet, but there you go.
Yeah, that's trees and stuff.
So, yeah, indeed. Anyway, anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. So this is one that you can thank Rise Skywalker. There's gonna be plenty of Rise Skywalker. So, okay, in Force Awakens and its tie-in media, as you guys know, the First Order gets its Stormtroopers by basically programming them from birth to follow the First Order, no matter what. But of course, Finn in The Force Awakens somehow breaks from that programming and defects. And one possible explanation, I think you'll agree with me on this one, Henson, one possible explanation that could have possibly been that Finn was force sensitive, that maybe his force sensitivity made him break from the programming. But you'd think that'd be the logical explanation, right, Henson? Like, at least that. Something.
Well, that is the explanation.
Okay, so that would be that. But the Rise Skywalker retconned it and said that Finn is not the only First Order Stormtrooper to defect, because there's Jaina and the others that defected for similar reasons as Finn did. And I read the visual dictionary of Rise Skywalker, and no, they're not Force sensitive. So, how do you explain this one?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that people can break their programming, because, I mean, we're not talking about droids here. Sometimes people can break through the manipulation. So, in that regard, it's not a contradiction.
Well, there's that, but wouldn't make you think like, wait, if the First Order's forces are breaking out the programming, wouldn't they start using something else? I don't know, clones, droids, whatever.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. Remember, the First Order is massive, so if a few soldiers fall through the cracks, then that's not the biggest deal, especially when the majority of them are successfully trained.
Though it does make you wonder how many other Stormtroopers have pretty much broken from the programming.
Yeah, what I've been wondering about vocal programming is like, what does that exactly mean? Are they put in a computer simulation and they got stored information inside them, or do they have chips inside, or like are they just brainwashed and they call it programming? Like, what does programming mean?
Do you got an answer to that, Henson?
No.
Well, if we don't know the specifics of that programming, then we can't really tell how they broke out
Yeah.
of it, other than luck or skill. So, there's that. Anyway, anything else to mention on this one?
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
next, well, Force Awakens Visual Dictionary, so pretty much states that Kylo Ren is stated to not only not being a Sith, but that he's basically a new dark side being that has emerged to fill in the void left by the Sith's demise. However, the Rise Skywalker Visual Dictionary now says that Kylo Ren wants to bring the Sith back into power and fulfill his grandfather's legacy. Wait, what?
Wait. Void up the Sith? Void up the Sith?
Yeah.
Oh, did you forget? Palpatine's still somewhere around in the galaxy. Void up the Sith.
Yeah. So, oops,
Yeah, this is... I mean, I know why it's Void up the Sith, because this was written before the rise of Skywalker, but a contradiction is still a contradiction.
Yeah. What do you think, Hanson? Is this one a contradiction or not?
I mean, so is it specifically... So it is specifically stated that when he says, finish what he started, it's this?
That's what the Visual Dictionary says.
Because I would think that this would be a mindset he just comes to instead of not always being the case. Well, I mean, okay, it can still work. You know, the reason why he's not Sith is because, well, don't have a Sith master, and as far as he knows, Snoke isn't related, has no relation to the Sith.
Oh, we'll get to Snoke. But the thing is, the Visual Dictionary says that he's a new dark side being, emerged to fill in the void left by Sith's demise. But the Rise of Skywalker says that Kylo Ren wants to bring the Sith back into power. So it's him wanting to fulfill his grandfather's legacy and bring the Sith back to power, which is not what Force Awakens says.
But here's the problem. There wasn't any demise of the Sith.
So, oops.
Palpatine is still alive and execrable. So how could there be the demise of the Sith? This stuff doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Look at all the Sith cultists in execrable. Yeah, the demise of the Sith.
So, yeah, this one doesn't make sense. So there's that. Now we go into Snoke regarding him not being Sith, him and the Force Order not being Sith or unrelated to the Sith, according to the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi Visual Dictionaries. With the Aftermath trilogy even going as far as differentiating Palpatine from Snoke as two different beings with very little communication from each other, like separate beings, like almost unrelated to each other. But, of course, Rise Skywalker tells us that no, Palpatine was the one that created Snoke and was behind every single thing the First Order did in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So
I think the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary, in order to do damage control, said something like some First Order officers were questioning whether Snoke was being controlled by a higher being or some.
which of course
Okay?
which of course makes no sense because both movies and their sources never stated that.
Yeah, my issue is Snoke have autonomy. Like, it's Palpatine, like, so it's like Palpatine using Force 3R to control Snoke from a distance? Or does Palpatine give orders to Snoke to, hey, Snoke, dude, you gotta do this stuff? Or does Snoke do whatever the hell he wants to do? Like, how does that work? I mean, do you have any interest, Henson?
Nope.
There's that. So the real issue in regards to Kylo Ren and Snoke First Order not being Sith is not necessarily that they're not strictly being Sith, but rather the context around the meaning of that, which all of it pretty much was massively retconned by Rise of Skywalker. So that's the real issue here.
Yeah.
So
let's give an example. Asajj Ventress is not a Sith, but he is affiliated with the Sith, right?
yes.
Yes.
That's the same thing. How can you not be affiliated with the Sith when you were created by the Sith? That's some mind-wackery thing going around here.
There's that, and there's also the fact that previous sources pretty much differentiated Palpatine and Snoke, the Aftermath trilogy in particular. So there goes yet another reason for the Aftermath trilogy to be retconned, which is far from the end for that. So yeah. Anyway, so anything else to mention on that one?
No.
Okay, next, Snoke regarding, the Force dyad. So, you guys remember in The Last Jedi how pretty much Snoke said that he was the one that linked both Rey and Kylo Ren, linking their minds, right, through the Force. That's why they have the Force dyad. But Palpatine, for some reason, didn't know about the Force dyad until the very end of Rise of Skywalker when both Rey and Kylo Ren were in front of him, and he siphoned their energy. Weren't you controlling Snoke all along? How did you not know?
Did Snoke somehow free himself from Palpatine? And is this how it works? I mean, the reason why none of these things make any sense, nor does anyone try to explain this properly, is because are there any sources that detail the relationship between Palpatine and Snoke?
There's the Kylo Ren comic, the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, but it has Snoke, like, in his own place, kind of like mentally talking to Kylo Ren, and Palpatine kind of does it, but Palpatine is, like, revealed until the very final issue? So it seems that Palpatine was controlling Snoke, which Snoke was controlling Kylo Ren, or both of them were talking at the same time. It's weird.
So it isn't even clear whether Snoke gets order from Palpatine or he is controlled by Palpatine. It's not even clear on that aspect, right?
It's one of those things where we don't have a definitive explanation.
Yeah.
Well, we need one because these things don't make any sense.
Yeah.
We need definitive explanations on a lot of things in the new canon.
Oh, don't worry. We're gonna get into the big bulk of those right now. So, next one. So, wait. How the hell did Luke and Leia were more than okay with training Rey, despite her always being a Palpatine? They knew she was a Palpatine, and both of them being hesitant to train another Force sensitive with dark side tendencies after what happened with Ben Solo. Got an explanation for that one?
I mean, keep in mind, Luke didn't want to train her and had to be convinced to do so, and even then he only reluctantly decided to train her, and even then it wasn't much. And Leia, well, that was after getting to know her more, so not really a contradiction.
No, wait. Luke says as a Force Ghost in Rise of Skywalker that both he and Leia knew that she was a Palpatine. They knew that she was the offspring of pretty much freaking devil of Star Wars. How?
Wait.
No explanation.
No, wait a second. How did they know that?
No idea?
Because it was pretty clear to me that it was the first time Leia saw. I mean, okay, it's kind of weird in visual continuity sense. The Force Awakens make it look like Luke kind of knew who Rey was, but in The Last Jedi, it looks like he doesn't even care / doesn't know her, so it depends on the under Luke, the version of Luke that appears in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. Whether he previously know Luke or not, and Leia, Rey, like, that's confusing.
It is. So, it's weird. It makes no sense. Anything else to mention on that one?
No.
Okay, next. So, according to the Rise of Skywalker official dictionary, Luke has been searching for the Sith wayfinders for too long, with a mental goal to get them in order to make sure that no other nefarious agents or evil entities could get their hands on them. If this is the case, wouldn't he be more inclined to search for those wayfinders after his Jedi Order was destroyed by Ben Solo, who now turned to Kylo Ren? You know, to make sure his nephew and Snoke never get those wayfinders?
I mean, keep in mind, Luke loses the will to care about anything at that point. I mean, if he has the mental willpower to just disappear and leave his friends to their own devices, then I can buy this. This is more, I mean, again, this isn't a contradiction. This is more so just adding on to the issue of Luke's character in The Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah, which in itself is a humongous contradiction, but we won't get.
I mean, it's not a contradiction. The problem is we aren't given a proper explanation. I mean, granted, I wouldn't like it regardless of the explanation, but there is a way to explain it. The problem is they didn't give us a good explanation in that we don't have any explanation.
We don't have anything, and all we have is just Luke being assassinated, character assassinated. But that's story for another day, because we're not getting into detail with Luke's character on this one, because it will take like 30 minutes to an hour on that alone.
Yep.
So, indeed. Anyway, anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. Okay, so this is what you wanted to talk about, Doan. So, Aftermath Empire Sand, as well as several other sources like the Force Awakens Special Dictionary, Poe Dameron Issue 8, comic Issue 8, and Star Wars Propaganda History of Persuasive Art of the Galaxy, they clearly state that the Empire's final battle was the Battle of Jakku in 5 ABY. And after that battle, the Empire was completely destroyed, with its final remnants fleeing to the unknown regions, never to be seen again until the return of the newly created First Order in 28 ABY. If this is true, why are the Empire still operating post-5 ABY in the Star Wars media? Like The Mandalorian, for example, which is in 9 ABY?
I mean, still just remnants.
No, here's the thing. No. They officially don't war Jakku, but one person in the movie of Rise of Skywalker clearly states, "Oh, Endor, that was where the last war ended."
So I guess that's two contradictions in one.
Well, no. What we see in stuff like The Mandalorian is just they're still just remnants. They're still trying to build back up.
Which in itself doesn't make much sense, because if you remember Operations, well, that's another thing that we're gonna get into another point. But basically, shouldn't the Empire be mostly destroyed? Because isn't that how Palpatine wanted it before?
Well, I mean, destroying Imperial world, sure, but not soldiers, which is what we see.
There's that. So Doan got.
Point is, this isn't a contradiction. What Doan brought up, that would be.
Fair enough.
Yes. So, I mean, it's pretty clear in most Disney Star Wars media that the war ended in Jakku, and even J.J. Abrams seemed to imply that was the case. I mean, you see the Star Destroyers and various ships destroyed in Jakku.
Yep.
And yet, all the comics, visual dictionary, novels that, the battle ended in Jakku. But here comes Rise of Skywalker, with J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio saying the last war ended in Endor. No. But since this is a higher canon source, maybe.
I mean, there's that, but then I guess you could say that the Jakku debris of the battle is just from a random battle, but oh well. So there's that. Now, building up on that in regards to the contingency plan, so Palpatine was confirmed dead, along with his Empire in the Aftermath Trilogy, with the Battle of Jakku in 5 AY being, of course, the final battle of the Galactic Empire before the demise, explained minutes ago. To further explain Palpatine's demise 5AY, okay, Palpatine made this contingency plan in which if he died, he will take the Empire with him to his grave. As we saw, that plan in action in Shattered Empires and Battlefront 2 EA in the form of Operation Cinder. However, we all know that Rise of Skywalker completely retcon all this and not only confirmed that Palpatine never died in Return of the Jedi, but he also had an entire huge army and armada of Star Destroyers buried in the glaciers of Exegol for 31 years. So the Empire never really died in 5AY, and Palpatine was alive this whole time. So
yeah, the thing with Palpatine's plan, this is again one of those things where there is a way to explain it, why he would have Operation Cinder and also have his whole thing with Exegol, but we don't have an explanation for that, which is a problem.
Operation Cinder is still canon within the live-action continuity because some
Mandalorian
says it is.
yeah. Though it makes you wonder, because in fact, Aftermath Empire and pretty much says that the contingency plan was really meant for the Empire to be destroyed, and in its ashes, the First Order will be born from them. So, with basically the Imperial officers escaping to the unknown region in 5AY and making the First Order. So, it's even said in Wikipedia that's the case. So then, where does the reborn Palpatine and the Final Order fit into all this? You guys got an explanation for that?
So, were there some high First Order officers somehow secretly in contact with Palpatine?
I'd like to say maybe, but no idea. In fact, if you read the Poe Dameron issue 8 comic, even that, pretty much, we see one of the Imperial officers, one of the remaining Stormtroopers from Jakku pretty much go from Stormtrooper to becoming one of the First Order officers 20 years later. So we actually do kind of see one of those officers indeed fleeing to the unknown regions, becoming part of the First Order. So we actually get to see that. So...
Or did Palpatine's spirit just fly all the way to Exegol after he died the first time? Like, how does any of these things work? What is this Operation Cinder stuff? Why did Palpatine make it? And even if you know, Palpatine, there are some sources saying that Palpatine already predicted that Vader would betray him.
Oh, we'll get into that, Doan. Oh, we'll get into that. Oh, don't you worry. We'll get into that. Later on. Don't worry. But yeah, so... Yeah, all this makes no sense. It just goes to show that... Yeah, this was just added to Rise of Skywalker. It was never part of the sequel trilogy planning from the beginning. So...
Oh no, but J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, was it? Didn't they claim that bringing that Palpatine was always the plan?
Even though Ian McDiarmid said he was surprised that they contracted him to do Palpatine Episode 9. That's still hilarious. So,
something else I would also like to bring up, going back to the Jakku topic. This isn't a contradiction necessarily, but this is just a line that doesn't make any sense for the character to say. So in Last Jedi, when Rey says, "Oh, I'm from nowhere," Luke's like, "Oh, nobody's from nowhere. I'm from Jakku." Yeah, that's nowhere. Why the hell would Luke say that, even though Jakku was the location of the final battle of the Galactic Civil War?
Oh, yeah.
That would be a planet you would not say is nowhere.
Yeah, wait a second. In the time media, did Luke participate in the Battle of Jakku?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so. But the fact remains, he would know of that battle.
Yeah, he would.
And the fact that he would say that Jakku is nowhere?
I mean, Luke would say something like, Jakku, the place where we fought the lost remnants of the Empire, or where the war ended. Like, wouldn't Luke say something like that?
Yeah, he would.
Especially since, if I remember correctly, the Empire was doing shit on Jakku.
Yeah, they were.
So, that's just a line that doesn't make any sense for Luke to say.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's just there for a joke.
Indeed. So, yeah. Anything else to mention on the contingency plan stuff?
No.
Okay, let's go with the biggest of the contradictions of Rise of Skywalker and probably part of its poster. How the hell did Palpatine survive his death in Return of the Jedi? Yeah.
Okay. Here's an explanation. Through cloning, spirit essence, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's the explanation. Don't ask how it works, why it works, or if it makes sense or not. Just go with it. That's how
As I've said before, this isn't a contradiction. This is just something that hasn't been properly explained. I mean, we do have. I haven't read the 9 novelization, but I'm fairly certain the explanation is essence transfer.
Through clone bodies.
But there is a contradiction because I remember, don't know exact what source, remember reading a source saying the body Palpatine had in Rise of Skywalker, it's the same body he had in Return of the Jedi.
But where did you read that, though?
Yeah.
Where did you see that, though?
Dictionary. I think it was a visual dictionary.
Well, the Rise of Skywalker Visual Dictionary does not say jack shit about Palpatine. There's not even a mention
Really?
of him. Nothing.
Yeah.
So, which is stupid because they should have had at least something, but they don't really mention anything. Not even his name. So, there's that. Now, okay, so as we know, the movie gives us no explanation other than Episode 3's line. You know, the dark side of the Force, a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Like, that's what they give us. Doesn't explain shit.
Remember Lord Moment?
Yeah, I remember him from the Darth Vader comics.
I mean, so Lord Moment somehow put his essence in his mask. So I wouldn't say it's too unbelievable that Palpatine did put his essence in a clone body. But my question is, why would the clone be on life support like that?
No idea.
If I remember correctly, the explanation is the clone bodies don't last long.
Well, that will be something. So, but here's the thing: if what the novelization claims is true, and it's a clone of Palpatine who is in Rise of Skywalker, let's assume it is, and he must have a batch of them somewhere in Exegol, right? Because you know the clones don't last long.
Yeah.
I got this question: why didn't Palpatine just kill himself? Have his essence already be transferred to a young and healthy clone body before he eventually Rise of Skywalker? Like, why does he have to wait until Rey has to get there to kill him?
Well, the explanation for this is quite simple, actually. You see, Palpatine has hit a point in his life where he wants his plans to be as convoluted as humanly possible. Boom. Explained.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're supposed to believe that this is the guy who caused the Clone Wars and became the Emperor of the Galaxy.
Oh, speaking of Palpatine's convoluted explanation, this goes to the secondary contradiction in this big one, in regards to his resurrection. Okay, why did Palpatine want Rey dead at the beginning of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi by having, you know, Kylo Ren or Snoke kill her, assuming he wasn't in control of Snoke all along? But then in Rise of Skywalker, he wanted Rey to kill him in order to transfer his essence to into her body. But then at the end of Rise of Skywalker, he has both Rey and Ben Solo in front of him so he can absorb the Force energy and regain his previous powerful body. Like, which one was his real goal again in regards to what to do with Rey and his own soul preservation?
Yeah, this is the reason why I keep saying they need to make a clear statement on the relationship between Snoke and Palpatine, because none of these things make any sense. If Snoke, okay, this would make sense if Snoke was actually against the agenda of Palpatine and its own plan. Maybe Snoke didn't want Palpatine to be powerful, or Snoke was trying to build his first order to fight against the final order. Then maybe that would make some sense, but there is no explanation. Why did Snoke try to kill Rey, despite the fact that Palpatine wanted Rey to kill him? So, yeah, if you think about it, it doesn't make any sense, because the people who were writing these things did not think.
Yeah,
You think Chris Terrio, the guy who wrote Justice League, Joss Whedon?
Yes.
Yeah, no wonder a piece of shit like movie like Rise of Skywalker came out.
There's that, and also don't forget J.J. Abrams is also writing it too. So.
Oh yeah.
So.
Star Trek reboot.
Yeah, so there's that. Henson, you got a way to explain Palpatine's convoluted plan?
Nope.
Well, I guess there you go.
You would have to be Lucino level of writing to even come close close to making sense of his plan.
Indeed. Okay, so in regards to Palpatine's planning. Okay, so Henson, do you remember when you mentioned in the previous Disney Star Wars Contradictions video?
Wait, if Vader dealt with this between episode 5 and 6, how the hell did Palpatine did not see Vader wanted to kill him? Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, this line, right? Yeah, you threw him into Mustafar with his body, you made him disabled, and then you also sent assassins, yet you didn't see he would betray you or try to kill you. Right.
And not only that, but Vader was more than okay to still be subservient to Palpatine in episode 6. Like, the fuck? How did this happen?
Keep in mind, in regards to Palpatine not seeing or figuring that Vader would betray him, he made clone bodies of himself, so...
Well, that's the EU.
He had a backup plan.
Well, that's the EU, but Disney Star Wars...
No, I mean in the new canon.
Oh, you're talking about Rise of Skywalker? Oh.
Yes.
That in itself, we'll get to it in the next video, because that is its own can of worms. You pretty much explained it that Palpatine, he knew that Vader would betray him eventually and pretty much just kill him, and Palpatine was prepared, and Vader didn't know about Exegol or the clone bodies and everything, right? That was your explanation. Okay, well, how about the fact that in that same Darth Vader comic, where Vader was pretty much left to die of Palpatine, some issues later, Vader finds a Sith wayfinder and manages to go all the way to Exegol and see the entirety of Palpatine's headquarters there, including the Snoke clones, the Sith Eternals, and even the entire planet-busting Star Destroyer fleet. So wait,
What?
If Vader knew about Exegol all along, how the fuck did he never realize, hey, Palpatine will probably come back to life after his first body dies? So, hey, maybe I should tell Luke about it and get him to be ready about it. Or let him know so that he'd go to Exegol to pretty much destroy everything.
Or, I don't know, destroy the entire facility to prevent Palpatine from being ever back.
Yeah, so yeah, Vader knew about Exegol. He knew everything. So...
He knew about it and just let Palpatine to return.
He knew everything. So, how do you explain this one, Henson?
Was the facility and all this stuff supposed to be a secret?
Well, supposedly it should have been a secret, but apparently Vader knew. So,
I mean, you see, this is the problem with Force Ghosts. Realistically speaking, or you would think they would know everything, so why wouldn't they tell our main characters? They seem to only tell them stuff that's, well, to get the plot moving. So this is just something where just having Force Ghosts is kind of an issue because, again, you would think that Obi-Wan and Yoda would know about Exegol because, they're part of the Force. And yet they don't tell Luke about it.
Well, you can easily explain it that because Exegol is just fully dark side influence, they can't really reach that place or anything. At best, they just say that place the nexus of the dark side. So,
are you sure about they couldn't reach Exegol because were all those Force Ghosts that were talking to Rey?
Yeah, never mind. Fuck what I said. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So this is more so an issue with Force Ghosts rather than this specific thing.
Well, Anakin could have also said to Luke that the war was not over, that, in his last dying words before he died in Return of the Jedi.
They certainly had a lot of time to talk, given, I'm sure, the trek from the Emperor's throne room to the shuttle bay would have been at least a few minutes.
And it would have been simple to just say, look, go to Mustafar, you'll find the Sith Wayfinder. Yeah, because the Sith Wayfinder that we see on Mustafar and Rise of Skywalker is the same one that Vader finds in this comic. That same one. So it's been there all along. So yeah, there is no way in hell that Luke in some way would have not found the Wayfinder, or at least traveled to Exegol in these 30 years, if Vader knew about it. Makes no sense.
So Vader, why did Vader keep quiet about this? I mean, it would make sense he didn't talk about this to Palpatine, but his son?
Oh, Palpatine knew that Vader went to Exegol, because Palpatine was there. He let Vader just go in and just explore the damn thing.
What the? Why did Palpatine let Vader go? What? Yeah, none of these things seem to make any sense.
No, they don't make any sense. And yeah, I'm showing the images, the comic issues right there in the video, so you guys can see that, yeah, we're not bluffing in this. So, yeah. Somehow, Palpatine literally, like, he knew that Vader saw the entirety of Exegol. Vader knew about it. He had plenty of time to tell Luke, either in physical form or in ghost form, hey, Palpatine might return, or at least his Sith Eternals are they can be a threat. Maybe you should deal with them. But
yeah, I mean, the idea of the New Republic letting the Sith survive is already weird enough.
Yep. So, what do you gotta say on that, Henson?
Nothing else to add.
Okay. Well, then now we go into another thing that pretty much was added by Rise of Skywalker out of nowhere. Poe Dameron's entire backstory. You guys know it. He used to be, well, his parents were both Rebel Alliance fighters, ended up growing up in Yavin 4 during the Galactic Civil War. He later served as squadron leader in the Republic Defense Fleet, but was frustrated by the failure of that central government to do anything against the First Order, so he was recruited by the Resistance, and he quickly rose to the ranks of the Resistance Understaff Starfighter Corps, earning the grade of Commander. However, Rise of Skywalker says, oh no wait, he had a life as a spice runner in Kajimi. In between, the events of him growing up on Yavin 4 and his recruitment to the New Republic Defense Fleet. So, yeah, there's that. By the way, this retcon is so out of nowhere that even Wikipedia does not have much to say about it. It's like his
Wow.
3-sentence paragraph. So, what do you guys got to say on this one?
Yeah, this is something we definitely need an explanation on.
Isn't there a novel that was supposed to come out to explain this?
Yeah, Poe Dameron
About Poe
Freefall.
Dameron?
Yeah, Poe Dameron Freefall, but literally Wikipedia just has like a 3-sentence paragraph from it. Didn't get much. So literally, there's like, if you literally go to Poe Dameron's biography in Wikipedia, it only had like only a small 3-sentence paragraph in regards to what Poe Dameron Freefall pretty much depicts in regards to Poe Dameron's life as a spice runner. Only that. That's it.
Right.
So yeah. So there's that. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay.
No.
Next, well, General Hux was fully devoted to the First Order. He wanted the Resistance to be destroyed no matter what, with the Force Awakens Visual Dictionary reinforcing this. But of course, Rise of Skywalker, he completely betrayed the First Order by being a secret Resistance spy.
Yeah, the idea that Hux would hate Kylo Ren so much that he would let the Resistance destroy the First Order just to make Kylo Ren lose is the dumbest thing you could ever read or watch.
Yeah, I think it's stupid, because even if he did hate Kylo Ren that much, he wouldn't let the Resistance win. At best, he'd just like either kill Kylo Ren or embarrass him in front of Snoke. So, to pretty much take over and lead the First Order, whereas Kylo Ren is either demoted or dead. So, but nope.
It wasn't like Hux was demoted or anything, right? It's still a general.
Yeah, it was still a general. So, there's that.
Yeah, what do you think is like Hux's character? I think this is a contradiction. Like, Hux hates the Resistance so much that he wants them destroyed, but he hates Kylo Ren even more to the point he wants them to win.
I mean, this is one of those things where, one, Hux hasn't had a consistent character.
Oh, yeah.
But also, keep in mind, one of the consistencies with his character was his hatred of Kylo. And we see this in episode 8, in which he knows Kylo Ren killed Snoke, but he can't do anything about it. Because Kylo Ren could kill him easily.
He almost did, actually. He almost
got
a blast around and shot him.
Yes. So I can totally buy that. Hux would go as far as to give info to the Resistance in order to take down Kylo, because why would he, like, yeah, he's loyal to the First Order, but this First Order is under Kylo Ren, so it's not the First Order he's loyal to. It's a completely different entity. So it makes sense.
There'd be that, but wouldn't Hawks prefer the first to instead of Kylo Ren leading it? Wouldn't he just prefer, hey, how about if we let Palpatine actually take control of it? He'd do a better job.
Well, he doesn't know about Palpatine.
Oh yeah, until Kylo Ren pretty much says it, right? So.
Or wouldn't he just jump ship and join Palpatine? I mean, isn't it pretty clear that Palpatine's the mastermind, not Kylo Ren?
I mean,
like,
apparently, but there's that. Anything else to mention on this one?
No.
Okay, next. This is a simple one. So Luke's X-wing in Octu. You guys know it was down in the ocean, like drowned, and then we see in the Rise of Skywalker that the X-wing was completely functional, ready set to go to Exegol. Here's the thing: the last Jedi Official Dictionary said that X-wing was not functional at all, and it will forever remain in the water. So yeah.
No. Let's just use real life world or common sense logic for a minute, okay? You have a ship. Wait, how many years did Luke stay in Octo?
I would assume at least 6 or 7.
6 or 7. You put a ship, electronic equipment like that, underwater for 6 to 7 years, and then you expect that thing to fully function. Oh, wait, it does, for some reason. Yeah, let's see what happens if you put an airplane on the ocean for 6 to 7 years and see if that still functions, huh? I guarantee you that thing will be broken.
I suppose one could say she used the Force to have it work and fly.
Oh my god.
That's not how the Force works.
Okay, no, wait. Or more a relatable example. For example, let's say that you have a attack helicopter put in a lake or an ocean for 6 to 7 years. Do you think that thing will be fully functional even if it has fuel after you pull it out 6 to 7 years later? No, that thing will be broken.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, it's as I said. Some of the stuff on this list aren't contradictions, they're just plot conveniences.
Or plot holes.
And in this case, it is a contradiction, but it's also meant to be a plot convenience.
Suspension of disbelief has its limits. You can't just constantly write stupid things in your movie and expect people to go along with it because it's fictional.
Of course, now this does bring up the question of if it worked, then Luke could have gone to Crate.
Oh yeah.
Well, he didn't intend to. He was trying to annoy Kylo Ren with his Force.
But he was gonna die anyway, so we might as well just go in there. Yeah, that's... Oh god. Good job, Rise Skywalker. Good job on...
He died as he lived. A coward.
Yeah. But anyway. So, here's the next easy one. So, okay, you guys know this one.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
Okay, enough said on this. Let's just move on. There is literally nothing to say here.
Yeah, other than just the Poe Dameron comic had Poe pretty much fighting jet troopers 2 years before the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So, there's that. Anyway, next. Okay, this is a big one. Force healing. It's a thing in Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian. But, well, where was this ability? Could have been useful years ago.
Yeah, the thing is, there are specifically Jedi who work as Force healers. Now, here's the thing. Force healers' purpose is to heal the wounds, not to resurrect some people from dying. Even
And
Force
here's the
healers
thing
didn't-
with force healing. It doesn't heal fatal wounds. It just helps with wounds that would have healed over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so just an amplifier for wounds that, again, would just heal naturally. It's not this powerful.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker is the worst son in the galaxy. He let his father die. Hey, Luke, you piece of shit. Why did you let your father die?
Well, not only that, but what about Qui-Gon dying in Episode 1?
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan is also a piece of shit. You let a person who's like your father die. Like, what is wrong with these people?
Hell, it could have even been used in Episode 3 to make sure Padme didn't die.
Of course, it can be said that said individuals didn't know the ability, but then that would also bring up the question of why wouldn't they? So, not a contradiction, more so just stupid.
Well, it does pretty much begs the question of, it's more of a plot hole, but we can...
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though, and as I've said a bunch of times already, there is an explanation, but it would be a stupid explanation because there's no proper way to explain it and have it make total sense.
The thing, Henson, is you can make an explanation out of anything. The problem is it wouldn't make any sense and raise more questions. Which is
Well, that's what I'm
we are in
saying.
now.
You can explain it, but it would be a stupid explanation.
It would.
Because there's no good way to explain it.
Yeah. So, there's that indeed. Next. So, okay. So this is last two. So, race heritage. You know it. Force Awakens. She supposedly was a Skywalker. The novelization particularly says that. But then Last Jedi, her parents are nothing but random junkers. And then Rise Skywalker, she's a Palpatine. So, how do you guys explain this one?
No, you don't. I mean, you shouldn't be asking how do you explain this. You don't. It's just stupid, and the people didn't pay attention. This Palpatine heritage thing came out of nowhere from Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams' butt. And let's see, the novelization, they were doing their own thing. Ryan Johnson was doing his own thing. Yeah, so at the end, this Canon had no coherent plans.
Not having a plan isn't necessarily the issue. It's that nobody cares about maintaining continuity.
And speaking of race heritage, here's another thing. If Rey was a Palpatine all along, why was Anakin's lightsaber calling to her in The Force Awakens?
No, the real question is, why would a lightsaber be calling out to anybody when it's never done that?
Oh yeah, that too.
You see, that's the bigger question here.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this is even a plot hole, but wait, did they explain how that lightsaber, even how Mas Kanata got this lightsaber?
Well, there is one comic explained that, kinda. So, yeah, they did kind of explain that. But as for the lightsaber calling to Rey or anyone else, yeah, that's not explained.
A question for another time, right, guys?
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, there's that.
Oh, I have one thing I forgot. In the Force Awakens novelization, Rey and Poe meet towards the end of the movie. But in The Last Jedi, it is the first time they met each other.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. So, yeah, there's another one there. So, yep. So, guys, that was the end of our list of contradictions. And, well, as you saw, the Sequel Trilogy era is the most convoluted one of them all. So, yeah. So what do you guys think of this list?
It's a firm reminder as to why I dropped being serious about the new canon and just not completely, but more so focus on the EU.
Doan?
These three movies are already bad enough, but the entire media makes me even question why I even paid attention in the first place. It's a waste of... Yeah, I wasted the last 6 years of my life with this thing, and I want those time back.
Which is something. So yeah. Now some of you guys are probably wondering, how is it possible that all of these contradictions, plot holes, whatever you want to call it, happen across this entire era? Isn't there a story group that pretty much like moderates this or keeps an eye on it? You know, similar to how Lucasfilm did in the EU. Well, here is a revelation. The story group, in reality, is not a group that is pretty much meant to keep continuity in Disney Star Wars. It's actually a group that pretty much just creates any new story ideas for authors and writers to use in Disney Star Wars. And it's been confirmed by several staff from Lucasfilm, and yes, I'll show here even some the quotes so you can see them that, yeah, we're not bluffing. This is the real thing. So the story group is pretty much worthless in regards to keeping the continuity. So hell, even going as far as people like Ryan Johnson confirming that the story group had no say in regards to how the stories of the movies would even be written or how would they maintain continuity. Like, story group had no say whatsoever. They could not mandate anything or say, hey, this is gonna contradict it. Like, no. Like, the directors and writers of the movies had all creative freedom to do whatever the hell they wanted, with no one to stop them. So
yeah, because here's the thing I mention constantly. I seriously want them to admit that there is a canon hierarchy. In the old EU days, the canon hierarchy people claim is confusing, but it's pretty easy. There was G canon, G, P, reluctantly, C, S, and N canon. And there was D canon, well, officially, but there's nothing there. But G canon stands for the George Lucas movies and the novelization, the prequels. The T canon was GCW. D canon were materials, mostly materials since the Sequel Trilogy. S canon was materials like the old Marvel comics and, you know, Brian Daley Han Solo trilogy. And N canon is flat out not canon. And D canon is detours, but the series didn't actually came out properly. So there was a clear thing where what information was more quote-unquote canon. If there was like a contradiction between a book and a movie, then we know that the movie's information was more important. It was simple back those days, but nowadays, we obviously know the live actions, the television shows, and the movies are more canon, but these assholes don't admit it.
In my experience, if you have any strong continuity in the new canon, it comes from the authors. And Donnie, if you're watching this, he when the novelization of Last Jedi came out, he asked Jason Fry on Twitter if most of the connections with the rest of the new canon came from him, and I think he said yes. Donnie, if you're watching this, you can attest to that in the comments. But point is, as far as I've seen, if you have a piece of new canon material that has like good continuity, it's not because, you know, there's a story. It's not because there's a group or one person keeping track of the continuity. It's because the individual authors care about continuity. Hell, for those of you reading The High Republic, you can attest to this. Those writers actually care. I mean, granted, they also planned everything out, but still, fact remains, the filmmakers don't care. Dave Filoni doesn't care. The only ones who seem to care about having a continuity are the writers of the books, comics, and games.
Yeah, but we know that the main product, which is the most important story, is the live actions, the animated series, and the movies, which is the problem.
It is. So,
I mean, in terms of being the most mainstream product, yes. An
And we have
unfortunate reality is, well, I mean, hell, we're at a point now where the TV shows are the most important pieces of Star Wars media we're getting, so there's that.
and we have apologists making excuses.
oh yeah. So
We got people who don't care about continuity.
So to further explain this, so one of the members of the story group, Matt Martin, there was this one point in Twitter where he pretty much said that in response to when Dave Filoni was talking about continuity, where George Lucas had pretty much told Dave Filoni, hey, that's not how you film this, film that, in regards to visual continuity when filming stuff. And Matt Marty pretty much had compared, he wasn't comparing that to legit continuity. He pretty much made a small note or statement that he thought that George Lucas, he didn't really care much for continuity. And then he pretty much said that in the case of this Star Wars, that the story quality comes first, continuity is second. So basically, I guess in his mind and Lucasfilm, that the quality of the story is the priority. If it contradicts something or if it ties something, that's pretty much second nature. So basically, continuity is like a second priority, not first priority.
That is really sad. And probably he never even once said something mockingly. Don't take anything he said seriously.
Well, that's in regards to what he says on Twitter, but that's not him who's saying that. It's Matt Martin. Yeah. So there's that. So yeah.
I mean, I suppose regarding Matt Martin, could be referring to TCW era Lucas, who honestly really didn't care at that point.
He did kind of claim that in regards to George Lucas not caring the continuity, or it seemed to be a response to that. But he did say in a response to Twitter that in the new canon, they pretty much, at times they try to keep continuity, but they pretty much focus on having the story being good first and foremost, over actually keeping a continuity.
Yes, because when you're dealing with a canon that's as large as Star Wars, one of the things that makes it good is not having good continuity. Because that makes sense.
Here's the thing we did a couple months ago, was it? Dark Plagueis book. Now, one of the reasons why Dark Plagueis is my favorite Star Wars book in general is how much James Luceno respected other people's work and incorporated those stories to his story to make a bigger, more interesting narrative. Now, there are times
Dark Plagueis is able to connect to all corners of the EU. I doubt we would ever get a book like that in the new canon.
Yeah.
Leland Chi, although he's a sellout these days, during the days of the Lucas era, he alone and the individuals writing the books knew how to maintain a continuity. Just look at the Revenge of the Sith novelization with Matthew Stover. Or, look at these people.
Well, it wasn't just Leland Chi. There was also others like Sue Rastoni, who also had mandate to keep continuity. So it wasn't just Leland Chi. He was one of the major players in keeping continuity in the original Star Wars timeline, but there were others as well. So there's that too. But yes, people, so the story group in Disney Star Wars, it's just there for story ideas, not really for keeping continuity. So
we make a long story short, these people are useless, and I don't know what they're even doing for a job.
They just come up with new story ideas for authors to pretty much take. That's their main goal, actually, their main purpose of existing nowadays. So,
as I said, the authors/writers care more about the continuity than anybody else at Lucasfilm, that's for sure.
I don't think we will ever get a James Luceno level writer in the Disney Star Wars.
No.
Again.
Unless it's literally him or someone from the EU.
Which we've had a handful of EU writers. for the new canon.
Even James
Luceno, Miller, Freed, Zahn, maybe a few others, but I don't remember.
They're like
Good
the only
time.
ones.
Good time.
Yeah, indeed. So, anything else to mention on this, guys?
Nope.
Okay, so before we go to the conclusion, I'd like to mention here a small fun fact regarding the choice for gameplay footage used for this video. You've all been seeing footage from Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA, released in 2017. Now, the main reason for us using this footage is because it was confirmed that the online Galactic Assault and Starfighter Assault game modes were fully considered canon by EA and Lucasfilm. Yes, everything you saw in this video and every time you play those game modes in Battlefront 2 EA Online, it is indeed considered canon. Now, you may be asking, how is this possible? Well, it's all thanks to EA for revealing that they originally had intended to do a cosmetics-only approach to microtransactions for Battlefront 2 EA, but the idea was shut down by Lucasfilm, so they went with the pay-to-win star cards method instead. And here in the screen, you can see Blake Jorgensen confirming this. Now, at face value, you could consider this just EA pulling shit out of their asses, which ideally it would be the best thing, but an article from November 17, 2017 from Jeff Grubb on VentureBeat confirms that what Blake Jorgensen said was true, as EA wanted to do an Overwatch-type online multiplayer game mode that had a heavy emphasis on cosmetic microtransactions, but Lucasfilm shut down that idea. When Jeff Grubb reached out to EA and Lucasfilm to clarify this, neither company responded. So this means that yes, Lucasfilm does consider Battlefront 2 EA's gameplay, most specifically Galactic Assault and Starfighter Assault, to be fully canon. Otherwise, why would they go so far as to restrict cosmetic customization for Battlefront 2 EA this heavily, and only implement it into the game after the loot box controversy happened, after the pay-to-win star cards method was heavily scrutinized? So, yeah, I guess it is canon now that Luke Skywalker was indeed in Starkiller Base and did fight Darth Vader at that same time during the Sequel Trilogy era, as well as Darth Maul fighting Rey on Crate, and even General Grievous appearing there on Crate. Yeah, like all of those scenarios with all of those heroes and villains from all the eras, yeah, that happened. So, it's official. So, yeah, just one last final nail in the coffin regarding Disney Star Wars' messy continuity. Anyway, so now we go to the conclusion. Okay, so who goes first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
There used to be a time I was really excited about the Disney Star Wars, the Sequel Trilogy, and everything. That was like 6 to 5 years ago, and I won my life back because it seems like it's a waste of time. Nobody seems to care about it. Yeah, a consistent story is important because it takes people out of the mood asking unnecessary questions. So if people writing these things would either pay more attention and or just flat out admit that the movies and the television shows are the only thing that actually matters, then I'll be happy with that. But they're not doing it. So, yeah, reality is really sad. Can't do nothing about it. I'm finished.
Hanson?
Well, the treatment of the canon along with the quality of the product we've been getting was one of the major factors in what finally pushed me into really delving into the EU to the extent that I have. I mean, hell, I got the greatest EU collection compared to everyone in State of Star Wars, so I mean, that alone says something about how much of a fan of the EU I am compared to everyone else. So, all things considered, continuity issues up the fucking ass, not getting explanations for a bunch of shit that should be explained. That's all anger-inducing, but it did end with me going more into the EU, so it wasn't all bad. Not to mention, I can say I have the biggest, expansive, ever-growing collection compared to everyone else here, so, yeah. it was worth it, I think.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so in regards to me, well, a similar thing in regards to Henson. It was actually Disney Star Wars that definitely finally pushed me to diving deeper into the expanded universe back in 2017. I had delved into the expanded universe before, mostly through the video games, read one or two EU comics sometime in 2016, early 2017, but it was until I saw The Last Jedi and how, well, pretty much I was asking so many fucking questions, having no answers to any of them, that pretty much angered the hell out of me and pretty much made me literally go for the expanded universe, starting with Shadow of the Empire and the Tron trilogy. So for those that have followed State of Star Wars will know the story. So yeah, it was thanks to Disney Star Wars I pretty much have the EU collection that I have right now with my 100-something books and some of the comics and several of the essential guides. So yeah, it was Disney Star Wars that pretty much pushed me into it. So I guess a bit similar to you, Henson, that yeah, I guess the positive of the new canon / Disney Star Wars being a mess of continuity pretty much made me get into the EU a lot more. So yeah, I guess we're together on that one. So yep, so that's it for this video, and this is the last part in regards to Disney Star Wars contradictions. Do not expect a part 3 because we already tackled the biggest can of worms in regards to the continuity of Disney Star Wars. So this is the last one of this two-parter. So yep. And well, what we're gonna in the next video, well, you guys will see. So anyway, guys, we'll see you guys on the next State of Star Wars podcast. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yeah.